What would you say are the three big flags that a man or a woman should look out for when they're entering a new dating relationship?
Unfortunately, I really hate to say this because we can't really control this, but your childhood. Unfortunately, your childhood creates an embedded kind of conflict between you and love. When we have a chaotic childhood, what we do is we create a core belief about ourselves that we're not worthy of love, we don't deserve love, or love is painful. And because that's a core belief, we go through life looking for somebody to validate that core belief. Now, if I meet somebody loving even, I will still try and create that core belief and make love chaotic. So I'll sabotage or do something. So unfortunately, you have to look at their childhood. Now, it doesn't mean if they've got a bad childhood, they're written off. But if they haven't acknowledged the impact, you're going to
started the healing process.
You're going to be the punching bag.
Oh man, I've been punched a lot.
Have you noticed that as well?
I've been punched a lot in my past.
What kind of things do women bring, like in their past childhood?
Well, I think it's the responsibility of each partner to ask those questions. And I lacked the inability to. I saw that, and that was what attracted me because I was wounded in my childhood, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we're both wounded. We're in this together.
Yeah.
So I was the punching bag and kept sticking around because I lacked the courage, confidence, the skills, the security in self to walk away from the feeling of love and intimacy, the feeling of connection, the false feeling.
Well, that broken childhood gives women some intensity that makes a man feel really loved in the moment.
Absolutely.
And it's honestly, they give you really passionate kind of sexual relations as well because they almost treat you like you're temporary. Because they know
the chemistry is explosive, right? But it doesn't mean it's healthy.
It's not healthy.
And I've heard you talk about this. I've talked about this as well. It's like if a person you're meeting feels boring, then that's a good thing.
It's a great thing.
It's a good thing. If it feels like exciting, explosive, and magical every moment, it's like the constant, that's probably when you want to run or really ask yourself why.
Why are you attracted to chaos?
Why am I attracted to this feeling? And is that healthy? I'm not saying it's automatic bad, but it's a definite thing to pay attention to.
Yeah, and is it sustainable to do that to your body? Nothing is sustainable. It's like being in the ring for 10, 15 rounds. You can't do it.
Yeah, it's also like you said, you can only have that feeling for so long. And then when it fades, are you saying something's wrong? I need to recreate that feeling.
Yeah, and they usually recreate it by outsourcing chaos outside of the relationship. So they'll have really stable, healthy relationships, but they'll find, a guy on the side or a girl on the side that will recreate the trauma that they've had as a child, unfortunately.
Right.
And the reason why it's such a problem is children suffer. Children are the only ones that will suffer when
you have kids and you've attracted each other and you've been committed and you stayed together, the kids suffer from your behavior.
Yeah, always. So it's being so so
that's the first flag, is to be aware of the person's childhood, right?
Be aware of the childhood.
Ask the questions.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean they're not a good person or they're nice or you can't be friends, or if you get into it, you just have to be aware this is what you might be dealing with.
Yeah. Second thing I would say is, do they set boundaries or do they self-sabotage? And they're two very different things. People think boundaries means, oh, you upset me, I'm never speaking to you again, I don't tolerate nonsense, I've got boundaries. That's not how boundaries work. Boundaries are actually instructions to help teach the person how to love you. So my boundary might be as simple as, okay, take the shoes off when you go into the living room. Yeah, that's a boundary. Self-sabotage is not saying anything and be like, oh my God, he wore his shoes in my living room, I'm never speaking to him again. So I would say the ability to communicate boundaries in a way that will bring you closer rather than simply kind of drawing lines and running away. And so I think effective boundaries is a really important red or green flag.
That's been a game changer for me with Martha, because we really created agreements early on.
Oh, amazing. What kind of agreements?
Man, we did so many early on that were just like, anytime there might have been a little that didn't feel that good, or disturbance, as opposed to us just letting it slide, each one of us were like, I don't know if I like that. I'm not saying you're wrong here, but I would just like for us to create this agreement so that I don't feel weird and I don't feel like you're taking advantage or whatever it might be. So,
and what was it like?
One of them was like, early in a relationship, you're talking all the time, morning, day, and night. And there was a couple of times where it was like 1 a.m. We had some minor disturbances. There was just confusion. We're both tired. It's getting in a loop. We're not finding a resolution to this challenge. And so we both came to the agreement, let's not have these conversations in bed.
Right.
It doesn't really seem to go well these last couple of times. It's not like it was horrible or explosive. It's just we woke up tired, like we didn't find a resolution, it didn't feel good. Let's just have the conversation during the day when we're both awake.
Okay.
Now when we hit the bed and then we start talking about something that was upsetting, and that has created so much peace because we both have an agreement.
Amazing.
We created a healthy boundary by calling it an agreement.
Yeah.
And we stick to that standard.
Right. And previous relationships, what would you do instead?
Oh, I would just try to solve the problem, stay up all night. I would just, and then it would just escalate to like frustration and exhaustion and then resentment the next day. Like, why is this happening? And then it repeats again every few weeks.
Okay. So this is, so now it's now healthy. I explain to you what I need and we do it accordingly.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah. And making sure both of you are able to communicate what you need so there is an agreement and making sure you both agree on that.
Amazing.
So
very lucky to find a partner.
Oh my God, I'm blessed.
Very lucky. Praise be to God.
I'm blessed. Okay, so do they set boundaries or do they self-sabotage? That's the second green or red flag. What's the third?
Competition or cooperation. And what I mean by that is when you have a partner that values your well-being and wants to see you feel less anxious, wants to see you feel happy, wants you to feel connected, they are cooperative. So when you say things like, oh, babe, I haven't heard from you all day, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, I completely forgot. I'll call you in 5 minutes. Give me 10 minutes, I'll call you. But other times you'll have a partner where you say, oh, I haven't heard from you. Stop trying to control me. You're always taking over. You're so needy. It's stuff like that. Is it competition or is it cooperation? When you voice a concern, do they actually want to see that the relationship get better and your well-being matters? Or are they so stuck on their autonomy and independence and not being controlled by you that they reject and neglect their responsibilities towards you? So I think that kind of understanding your partner's well-being, if it's not a case of like, why are you trying to control me? It's more of a case of, oh, I didn't mean to. Okay, I understand your point. It's those partners that are in competition with each other, who can hurt who the most, or who can stay the most disconnected, who can stay the most independent. Why are you together? I don't understand those relationships. It's torture. It's real torture. So it's like, oh, I'm liking extra pictures. She told me not to like pictures. Now I'm going to do 10 times more. Oh, he told me not to post bikini pictures. Now I'm going to post 10 times more. Why are you together if you're going to hurt each other? Because hurting them should be hurting you if you're in a healthy relationship. And prioritizing their well-being is a form of prioritizing your own well-being if you're in a healthy relationship. So that cooperation should be there. If it's not there, then try and avoid that person, unfortunately.